Hello, friends. Today we have with us none other than Dr. Fredirck Shroyens. The world knows him and he needs no introduction, but yet I would again reiterate that he is the one person responsible for revolutionizing the modern repertory, the modern software, the person who single-handedly created synthesis, of course, along with the help of others, but it was his child and it is still his child. So, Dr. Shroyens, a very, very warm welcome to Homeopathy once again. It's a pleasure to have you with us today.
My pleasure too. Thanks for the invitation and the opportunity.
So, Fredirck, the last time I interviewed you, it was in 2006 when you came here in Jaipur. And I remember that at that time, Synthesis 9.1 had just released.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, and you were still working on Synthesis 10. So, what has been the journey like since then? I mean, there are so many versions of synthesis have come after that. And even radar has taken a very, very different shape. From that time, the radar opus came and now a new version has come. So what has been this journey like of last 15, 16 years? How would you summarize the developments of last 15, 16 years?
Well, 2006 was in fact a tilting point, because that was the time after 1 year of investigation, reflection, discussion, dreaming most of all, that we started on the programming of radar opus. And you may remember it was in 2009 that the first version of radar opus was released in Los Angeles Liga Congress. Fortunately, not so stable, I must admit. And 2009 was also the year that we stopped the development of Radar 10. So it was 2006, 2009 was really the tilting point between the past and the future for us. And also that impacted heavily on the development of synthesis, because every version of synthesis we produced so far, 9.1, and there was 9.2 and 2009 were still oncoming then. They were all created in the radar software, database in radar software. And so then we, of course, had to continue and create another synthesis. However, that was part of the radar opus software, you see? And that has taken a very long time for many reasons. First of all, we had to create radar opus with the basic functions that the users were happy, like find a symptom, take a symptom, analyze symptoms. The materia medica part, we have redone the patient file, etc., etc. To cut a long story short, we have taken 12 years, in fact, to release the next version of synthesis. That was the successor of the Treasure Edition 2009. And that is the project I would like to discuss about today, our current version of synthesis.
Yes, and that version is Synthesis Adonis, I believe.
Yes,
so
correct.
Tell us a bit more about Synthesis Adonis, Fredirck, and what does this name mean?
Yes, indeed. So Synthesis Adonis is in fact the successor of Synthesis Treasure Edition. And we named it Adonis because we wanted to break away with the tradition of years and numbers, etc., etc. Synthesis Adonis, as I will explain a little bit later, is like, for me, a big new step in repertory development. And so, like, for example, Mac operating system, they chose mountains, animals, etc. We, with the tradition of Zeus Soft, you know, our company name is Zeus, the Greek god. We said, oh, why not a Greek god like Adonis?
Yes.
Stands for beauty, perfection, achievement, all the things we would like to offer to our users through the new synthesis. But then, of course, the idea came, yeah, what is the next name of the successive synthesis? And yes, there are some Greek gods with the name B. Bacchus is one of them, the god of wine. I don't know if this was appropriate for a synthesis name, I must say. And so then we changed to the idea that we would name this synthesis Adonis to the remedy Adonis, which is in fact Adonis vernalis. And so successive syntheses will be named according to remedies A, B, C, etc. And Synthesis Adonis is now the first one of the new generation of repertories.
So what new information does Synthesis Adonis bring to the homeopathic community?
Yes, as you know, the maybe even most important information in our community is related to the provings, because this is what we do. We make the substance, the plant, the mineral, whatever, speak. What it has to say, what it has to offer to the patients by provings. And so giving access to provings means that we give all users of Adonis, of our software, the possibility to translate the phrases, the sentences, the symptoms of the symptom into a symptom of the repertory, and then find the appropriate remedies for those people. And so we have put a big emphasis on provings, on adding provings. And by the way, we have, even if, how shall I say, there were 12 years between Treasure Edition and Adonis, it doesn't mean we were silent. We have continued to work. So it's a big leap forward. And you can see that, in fact, also on the level of the provings, that we have, just to quote one number, is we have added 230 contemporary provings to Adonis, new provings. And with contemporary, I mean that they were proven recently, or at least recently repertorized, which means that we have 230 provings that were not available before, and many of them not anywhere else. And we have been collaborating with a number of people to do that. There is, maybe I can send you some pictures you can intersect in this presentation if you like, where there is like Vladimir Petroci from Slovakia with 22 provings, the Noland family, of course, well known. 19 of their provings have been integrated in Adonis, 18 provings by Jeremy Sher, 13 provings by Peter Tuminello from Australia, 12 provings by Chetna Shukla, and so on. So all these provings have been integrated, and it's a big improvement, I believe, for those who use the repertory.
So since the new provings are such a big part of Adonis, I have two related questions about this. One, how do you assure that a proving that you are adding to your software is of a decent quality? Like, how do you assure the quality of the proving? Because provings come in all sizes and shapes, and not all of them are equally good. And a second related question to that is, proving data has a lot of noise also. So when you are putting proving data into a repertory, how do you filter the noise from the actual symptoms?
Yes, yes. Well, I must say that I believe everybody in our community has to play his or her role. And I am not the proving coordinator. I'm very interested in provings, and I am part since many, many years, since maybe 15 or more years, of the proving subcommittee in the European Committee for Homeopathy. So I'm keen and eager to know and reflect about it. But I cannot be the person responsible for every proving. However, I'm very glad, and my team, it's not just me, contribute heavily by indeed communicating with these people and saying, listen, you have really too many symptoms, or these symptoms are not valid or characteristic. So what happens very often in the proving, they say, there is a pain in the left ear and there is a pain in the right ear. Well, if it appears in the both sides, is it then relevant? Will it help me to find a remedy if it's at both sides of the ear? You understand? So we're having these conversations with the proving directors, etc., as we help them to integrate the information in the repertory. We help them, I would almost say, to avoid using new symptoms. We are quite strong on this and ask to get a list of the new symptoms. They say, listen, is there really a difference between this new symptom you are suggesting and the one that is existing here already? Because you must be aware that the repertory is a standardized language, which means you just don't use any words, because then we would need to look in 5 or 10 places to find information of the same type. And we say head, pain, talking. That's it. Not speaking, babbling, conversing. No, head, pain, talking. That's it. You understand what I mean? Yes. And so we help people to standardize the language to avoid useless new symptoms and to be aware of, for example, another thing is degrees. Most of the proving directors are very enthusiastic and they say, oh, this symptom was very strong, 2nd degree, and I've seen it in a case, a 3rd degree. And so we calm them down and we tell them, wait a minute, wait for confirmation, let your proving be used by the community, and then when other people confirm it, we'll increase the degrees, etc. So we're having this kind of coaching. But the ultimate responsibility will always be with the proving directors. And the only thing I can say is that, you know, the names that I have quoted, these are people that are known in proving country. And so we will prefer to work with them. And yes, some other provings, I must say, will be a little down on the waiting list. But yeah, we have to share the responsibility on this, I must say. Yeah.
Yes. So does Adonis have a primary focus on the new provings only, or is there some other new data or new features that Adonis brings to us?
Yes, that's in fact the information, the homeopathic information consists of 2 big parts. First is the proving, and then we know what to prescribe. And then the second is what you could say, the clinical confirmation, the cured cases. Does it work? When I use this symptom and this symptom, it points this remedy, but does this remedy heal because of these symptoms? So the clinical confirmation. And so we have also added a lot of clinical information to Adonis. And for that, we have had the help of different people known in the field. And we made a big effort to update Adonis with the clinical information of Fredirck Master from Mumbai, from Massimo Mangialavore, probably known to many of you, from Italy. There's also Philippe de Grote, who is very known in Europe here, who has been specializing in small remedies and he has done a big job of noting down every case and every symptom for many, many years. So we have added also a lot of clinical confirmations to Adonis. And please be aware that for every addition, we have noted whether it's clinical or proving. And so if there is a proving from Fredirck Master about this snake, whatever, it will be MTF with a number, MTF2 for Toxicophes pugnax. If it's a clinical confirmation by Fredirck Master, it will be MTF0 and alike for all the other authors. So you will always be able to define the source of the information and, for example, see if a remedy has been authorized by a proving and by a clinical confirmation, which you may prefer. Or some people say, no, I only want if the clinical confirmation is there as well, or proving is only. And so we have this flexibility to serve the needs and the desires of different people.
So when you say you have added clinical symptoms also, does it include pathological symptoms?
Yes, there's a slight difference between clinical information and pathological information. So with clinical information, I meant mostly anything that is confirmed by cured cases, anything, like mild jealousy, desire salad, stomach vomiting in the wet weather, whatever, anything, cured cases. Pathological rubrics that you point to, I must admit that in our project, and yeah, we always were a little bit wary of adding too much pathological rubrics, even if I know that some other projects have invested heavily into presenting pathological rubrics into the repertory. And by that, by those pathological rubrics, we mean a rubric which equals a pathology, like diabetes or certain syndromes or whatever, or multiple sclerosis, etc., etc. You may agree that we refrain a little bit from putting that too much in the spotlight, because especially for beginning homeopaths, it may be misleading to say, oh, I have a patient with multiple sclerosis, very easy, I have a number of remedies, I will just prescribe one. Maybe it makes homeopathy not so efficient. However, we have done it now, indeed, in Adonis as well, to add a consistent number of pathological rubrics and to expand the existing ones like diabetes and all the related symptoms of diabetes, because we believe that people should take the responsibility to use these rubrics as an inspiration. As an inspiration, and like for, for multiple sclerosis, Latirus, the remedy Latirus, they read up the Materia Medica, we hope, and then they understand that multiple sclerosis is not just the same in every patient. They have certain symptoms, and they begin to see the homeopathic way to look at multiple sclerosis. This patient has this, cessation here or there, or paralysis here or there, etc., etc. So yes, we have now added much more pathological rubrics, and we hope people use them as inspiration and not just as a shortcut to prescribing, which may fail.
Makes a lot of sense. Can you give any idea about the volume of information that has been added to Adonis in terms of number of new rubric additions, number of new remedy additions?
Yes, I can. Let me just go to my slide because I don't remember. So as a short reply, I can say that Adonis offers about 25% new information in comparison to the Treasure edition. This means this is averaged on new symptoms, new remedies, new references, new cross-references, etc. 25% on average. On another way to indicate the amount of the difference between Treasure edition and Adonis is that Treasure edition had, let me give you the precise number, just a minute. Treasure edition was describing, wait a minute. Yes, here it is, 2,375 remedies. And with Adonis, among others, with these provings, with the many small remedies that our clinicians have experience with, that number has expanded with about 850 more. And so Adonis is now the first repertory that describes 3,233 remedies, more than 3,000. Some of them with only a few symptoms, indeed, but just to give you the idea how much information is available in Adonis.
That's a lot of new information, indeed. How I must point to this, that recently there has been a subgroup of homeopaths who are more keen on saying that less is more rather than more is more. And there has been a resurgence of interest in small repertories, especially Bonegason's therapeutic pocketbook. And people who have been trying to practice with a limited number of remedies, with a set of symptoms which have been confirmed hundreds and thousands of times, with remedies which have stood this test of time. How does one filter? Suppose if I'm using uh, Adonis, and I prefer to work with known remedies, known or a certain set of authors, a certain set of provings. How is it possible for me to use that information selectively? Because at times, because the more remedies we are adding to the repertory, some of the rubrics are becoming overwhelmingly large. Even a remedy, a rubric which had, say, 10 remedies in Kent might have 120 remedies now in synthesis. Now,
Correct.
that sometimes it becomes difficult for us to differentiate between those remedies clinically, because if you've got 10 remedies, I can differentiate between those 10 remedies. Okay, my patient is giving me the symptom, I can differentiate between these 10 remedies. But now I have got the same symptom with 120 remedies and I find overwhelmed. So how do we deal with this excess of information, and how do we make the most optimum use of it?
Yes, that's a very critical question, I would like to say, because it's the concern of many people. And the reason that many people have this concern, I believe, is that different people have different opinions. And so one could take the authoritative approach and say, this is the way it has to be. And some of our friends in the business are doing that, saying, this is my approach and this is the information you have to use. I must say that in our project, we have always given the authority to the user and giving flexibility, which means that we create tools in such a way that the user can decide what to do. And to be precise in the reply to your question, which information to show or to hide. This leads me to the topic of the repertory views. Repertory views means you, with a click of a mouse, literally 1 second, you can change the repertory and see fear of high places with just the 4 remedies that Kent has put there. Angentum nitricum, pulsatilla, sulfur, don't remember the other one, and there were 4 remedies. And if you say, well, this rubric is not helpful because only 4 remedies, at the time of Kent, it was 4 remedies out of 694. It's not representative, it's almost misleading. And you may remember, just as me, some people started to not use that rubric anymore because we always ended up with pulsatilla and argentum nitricum. You understand? And so I would say in this case, many people would agree this rubric needs to be expanded, needs to have 30, 50, maybe more remedies, because fear of high places is such a common symptom. And so you see that maybe even depending upon the user, maybe even depending on the symptom or the case, we would like to expand or limit the scope of our analysis. And this you can do with a repertory view. And in Adonis, between Treasure Edition and Adonis, we have reworked all the repertory views, put a few more. I will not go into detail because I think that would make the conversation too long. We have 21 repertory views, among others, like Kent. If you would say, yeah, most of my cases I like to do with Kent. Yeah? You can just choose a view Kent repertory and you will see the 4 remedies in fear of high places, just Kent. It will be your Kent. You can check with the book. And only we have hundreds of corrections, but that's another story. Or you can say, well, I'm a, for example, Vitulca's adept. You can choose to limit Adonis to the sources that were considered to be trustworthy by George Vitulcas. And so in this way, you have these 21 ways to see more and less information if you got stuck with your Kent view or with your Berningshausen view, which is another view we have in Adonis. You can just, with a click of a second, bring in other information, other authors, other remedies, and maybe solve the case with a more recent remedy.
Yes, that's very convenient. So you just mentioned George Vitulcas, and I remember when I had my last conversation with you, you mentioned about his very mathematical approach to solving cases. And we also discussed another aspect of homeopathy, which was still evolving back then, which was a more artistic approach. You were very open to that approach also, provided it has ample clinical confirmation. And I believe there is more integration of that approach, this family approach, into synthesis now. Can you talk a bit more about that, more artistic, more modern approaches that have come in our system, how they've been integrated into Adonis?
Yes, that's true. And it's one of the other almost main features of Adonis, is that Adonis is now the first big repertory to offer family information. And let me first explain what I understand by family information. The repertory, as we know it, is symptoms and remedies, okay? Now, we have added families to the same rubrics, like jealousy has Hyoscyamus, Nux vomica, etc. Lachesis is a snake, but has also the family snakes as a family. So in the same rubric, you find snakes, Ophidia, in Latin is the name, as an entry. And so we have done this for more than 200 families. 4 people mostly have been working on this. More than 200 families have additions in synthesis. And how does the user, how can the user see it and use it? There are many ways, again, another lecture, but just to tell you the most easy way and obvious way is that you would just repertorize jealousy, desire to kill, concentration difficult while reading, etc. You analyze your case, you take the symptoms as you always take them. And then you analyze them, and you will suddenly see in some cases, not in all cases, because we have, what shall I say, not drowned the repertory with family information, but some cases you will see that in the first 10 or 20 remedies, not only Nux vomicae and Hepar sulfur, etc. appear, but also a remedy. And the suggestion is that in such a case, please look at the members of that family if it doesn't fit your patient. And so it's a very easy and practical way to use families and to highlight families. And the information that has been entered considers the different approaches. So it's very flexible and quite usable. And I must say, even from people who don't like the family approach, we've got feedback that they have been able to crack some cases that were stuck for a long time. Because as you say, it's just like another way, an artistic way. It doesn't work like this, stuck. Let's look in another way. And just then this family appears. I have this one case I like to present. I can one time do it in detail, but just to give you a concrete example, I had this case, stuck case for me, like 10, 20 years, slight improvements, no major improvement, coming back all the time, nice lady, good personal relationship. She comes back, and you say, why she comes back? You know, this kind of patient. And when I got Adonis at my own disposition, I just retook the case, the same symptoms as always, and I see that a family appears the Baraitas. Not a big help, because she was like looking like Barretta carbonica. I had prescribed Barretta carbonica, and I had prescribed even 1 or 2 other Barretta salts. But because of the family Barretta being the first family in this case, with the regular symptoms like irresolution, lack of confidence, and big symptoms, I said, I must think again about the Barretta salts. And I studied them again, I look at the case again, and I said, well, maybe the Barretta salt is Barretta arsenicosa. And I prescribe it, and the lady starts to change. So the family approach does help, and many people say, oh, it's a new approach. Well, it's not as new, because first of all, many classical authors were speaking about family characteristics in their description of materia medica.
Yes, indeed.
Second, when I take the patient's case, I repertorize the case, and then I study materia medica to decide on a remedy. there's nothing new I do. I just get a new idea to help a patient I couldn't help so far.
Yes, that's indeed a very useful feature. It's not a very it's not just going the family way. It just opens another window in which gives you another entry to the case. So that's indeed
Yes.
very useful. But still, if somebody doesn't want that information, is there a way to filter it out?
Yes, very easy. So every screen in our software has an options wheel. You click on the options wheel and then you can choose hide families. And no families appear in, in your analysis or in your repertory. So it's gone. You can use Adonis and Radar Opus without ever seeing a family.
So are we going to see this new information that is going to come out in Adonis simultaneously in Radar Opus also?
Adonis is in Radar Opus. It's available in Radar Opus. So
Okay.
Synthesis is the data and Radar Opus is the container, the program. Yeah. Or did I misunderstand your question?
I thought there's going to be a paperback, a hard copy also of Adonis.
I don't know. We are reflecting about, but you know, every version, the repertory has more and more information. It becomes more and more difficult to print it all. So in fact, the printing exercise today would be, what do we not print? And is it then still interesting?
Yes, indeed. A very, very large book to print. So,
Yeah.
Fredirck, what I can understand is that the major difference between the Treasure Edition and the Adonis is in the addition of new provings, around 230 new provings you have added from some very reliable sources. And there have been around 850 new remedies also that have been added to Adonis, taking the count to more than 3,200 plus. And around 25% more information as far as the volume of matter is concerned. And along with that, you have also added the family data. Into around 200 families have been included. So, and which come directly in the repertorization sheet. So we can look at what families a particular patient is giving more often.
Yes,
so that's
very good.
that's a lot of work that you have done, and I believe that the 12 years that you have put in, it's worth the wait. It's worth the wait. And is there anything else you would like to add?
No, I think if the community understands we are now offering the result of 12 years of work, I think that's even the shortest way to say it. This is 12 years of work from not just one person, but from dozens of persons coming to your availability and putting synthesis again on top, I believe, with the quality and the quantity of information. If people understand this, yeah, I would be very happy. And yeah, we can contribute to many people's practices.
All right, great. Just one last question, Fredirck, regarding Adonis. You also have a synthesis app.
Yes.
On Play Store. Is that app also going to get updated with Adonis?
Yes, that plan is happening. It still is taking some time. So, but I cannot give a date because we need to reprogram the app. We are reprogramming the app, in fact. And so that there will be a new app and Adonis will be in it. So, but it's at least 6 months, if not more, away from now, but the app will follow, yes.
Okay. And what is the way forward for you? Where do you go from here? What next in synthesis and radar?
Yes, we will integrate more information. We have taken a big leap with contemporary information. We have now several people working on increasing the more classical information. Not that we haven't done it, but we would like to move a lot on that level as well, because you must be aware that even if you just take Clark or Allen or etc., and you look at the interesting information, not all the interesting information has been repertorized so far. There was a time, and I'm quoting Kent, that he said the repertory is complete, it's finished. We are now in another vibe, and it's always saying, no, it's not complete. We still can do more to increase the information, to correct the information, and to streamline the information, to make the quality information optimal. And so, yeah, we are just moving on. And the one thing I can tell you is that we'll not wait another 12 years to release the next version of Synthesis. The tentative idea is, yeah, to release it in 24, to see the next version of Synthesis.
All right. Let me ask you one question about radar. Nowadays, artificial intelligence is a hot word, and artificial intelligence can also help us improve our repertories by gathering the data and analyzing the data from millions of cases of the radar users. And it can automatically filter a lot of data, it can verify a lot of data, a lot of rubric additions. Is there any plan to provide those features or integrate those features or integrate that kind of intelligence in the future versions of radar?
Yeah, the plan is there. In fact, when we conceived Radar Opus, one of the main ideas was to have everything in one place, which means repertory program, materia medica program, and patient file. And to be able to link in between those three big sections, linking. And for example, as you suggest, feed the repertory part with information from the patient part, etc. You know, we already have a very strong link between materia medica part and repertory part, and much improved in Radar Opus, bidirectional. And yeah, the dream is there, and the plan is there to move on and even also integrate the clinical information. And yeah, the only limit is the resources. You know, the dreams are there, but the resources, of course, we must reflect what to do first. But yes, it's. I would even say that your suggestion is part of our vision. Yes.
Great. I really look forward to using Adonis very soon, Dr. Shroyens. It has been wonderful talking to you about all this new development and the result of your hard work of 12 years. And I'm pretty sure that the community will find it very useful. And with these words, I thank you so much for being with us today and sharing about your work and the results and the outcome of that work with us. I'm very grateful for your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak about our project. Thank you very much. Namaste.